Listening is an act of love. Thank you. You can help lift up the voices, stories, and challenges we share by making a contribution at thiswayout.org.
A sincere thank you to all of you who already support This Way Out. Your support matters. I'm Tanya Kane-Perry.
And I'm Marcos Nájera.
With NewsWrap, a summary of some of the news in or affecting LGBTQ communities around the world for the week ending June 4th, 2021. 44 people were arrested at an LGBTQ shelter in the city of Nansana, Uganda this week. Municipal police spokesperson Luke Oyesigir said they had been tipped off to a so-called gay wedding and told local reporters that gifts were recovered, including suitcases, a TV, assorted gifts like sugar, salt, pineapples, and many other gifts normally given at traditional functions. Oyesigir also claimed that condoms were found at the event. The newly formed queer advocacy group Pride Uganda announced on Twitter that, several days ago, we hosted a peaceful gathering, yet the police were informed and wrongfully detained members of our community, with many still awaiting bail. With Pride Month 2021 upon us, the time is now to rise up against such violent persecution.
Uganda has outlawed same-gender sex since the East African country's colonial days. It's become known as one of the world's homophobic hotspots in the past several years, with headlines threatening new penalties that at one point included execution for aggravated homosexuality. A sexual offenses bill passed in May strengthens laws against unnatural offenses and equates consensual adult same-gender sex with bestiality. Veteran activist Frank Mugisha of Sexual Minorities Uganda told the Washington Blade that the detainees in this week's raid in Nansana have been charged with committing a negligent act likely to spread infection of disease, apparently for COVID-19 violations. Mugisha said authorities subjected the men to medically debunked anal tests to determine whether or not they're gay. More than 24 LGBTQ people were arrested in a raid of a Kampala LGBTQ homeless shelter in April 2020 and charged with COVID-19 violations. Prosecutors eventually dropped all charges, and a court ordered them released.
Chile's politically conservative president, Sebastián Pinera, has finally endorsed opening civil marriage to same-gender couples. In his annual address to Congress on June 1st, Pinera declared, "I think the time has come for marriage equality in our country." He promised to proceed with a sense of urgency to get the marriage equality bill passed. The Inter-American Court of Human Rights ordered all countries in the region to institute marriage equality in 2018. Countries without marriage equality are bound by that ruling, including Chile. But its Supreme and Constitutional Courts have each rejected marriage equality lawsuits. Congress passed a less than equal civil unions bill for same-gender couples in 2015. A marriage equality bill pushed by then President Michelle Bachelet has stalled since 2017. Bachelet had signed on to an agreement with the country's major queer rights group, Mobile, and the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights to promote marriage equality. But Pinera's government has resisted until now. Mobile spokesperson Rolando Jimenez called this week's presidential announcement as surprising as it is positive.
This week's most notable anti-queer U.S. governor is Republican Ron DeSantis of Florida. He kicked off Pride Month by signing measures to both persecute transgender teens and deny help to survivors of Orlando's Pulse massacre. DeSantis was quick to sign a bill that rushed through the Republican-controlled legislature to prevent trans girls and women from competing in school sports. Along with bills to restrict voting rights, that's one of the most popular bills in Republican-controlled state legislatures this year. DeSantis also eliminated funding for all LGBTQ-supported programs and projects from his state's budget. That included $150,000 for Orlando's LGBT Center from the city's United Assistance Center. That money was intended to provide mental health counseling for survivors of the horrific mass shooting at the Pulse nightclub in 2016. Pulse survivor Brandon Wolf now works with the state's major advocacy group, Equality Florida. He put it bluntly, saying, Governor DeSantis has declared war on Florida's LGBTQ community.
By contrast, Wisconsin's Democratic Governor Tony Evers greeted Pride with 3 pro-queer executive orders. One bans the use of government funds for so-called conversion therapy, the abusive practice that falsely claims to make queer people straight. A second declaration orders the LGBTQ plus rainbow flag to fly over the State House until sunset on June 30th. The third executive order directs Wisconsin agencies to use gender-neutral pronouns and terms in documents, guidelines, and policies wherever possible. Wisconsin's Republican-dominated legislature is still considering a ban on transgender female competitors in school sports. The Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel quoted Evers at a press conference this week saying, "I very seldom weigh in on bills before they reach my desk, but I can tell you one thing for sure. As governor, I will veto any bill that's going to negatively impact our kids. Period."
Utah's Republican Governor Spencer J. Cox sprang a surprise by officially designating June as Pride Month. He's believed to be the first governor in the predominantly Mormon state to do so. Cox tweeted, "Here in Utah, we strive to create a culture of hope, love, understanding, and respect by celebrating our common humanity. Happy Pride Month, Utah." Cox already swam against the tide by vetoing a trans school sports ban. He said at the time, "If you have not spent time with transgender youth, then I would encourage you to pause on this issue." Reacting to the Pride proclamation, veteran human rights activist George Takei tweeted, "This is quite moving. Bravo, sir. We need more of this compassion in politics, particularly from Republicans."
Rainbow flags are flying at U.S. embassies around the world during Pride Month this year, a sharp contrast to the previous administration's ban on those displays. President Joe Biden himself issued a Pride proclamation this week, while Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm joined LGBTQ employees in a ceremony raising the rainbow flag outside the department's building. The first out gay person to serve in a U.S. presidential cabinet also shared his greetings.
Hi there, it's Secretary Pete, here to wish everybody a happy Pride Month. Harvey Milk once said that hope will never be silent. Not long ago, there was a time when I believed that I might have to choose between serving my country and starting my own family. In some countries, someone like me could never have served in the military or served as a mayor, let alone in a role like this. And not long ago, those things were not possible in our country either. Yet today, I'm honored to serve as a member of the President's Cabinet and proud that I was sworn in with my husband Chasten by my side. I know that there are a lot of LGBTQ youth right now grappling with the fear that being yourself could mean sacrificing family, friends, or a future career. I want you to know that there are so many people out there ready and eager to accept and support you, including me. Thank you, take care, and be safe.
U.S. Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg.
Finally, tech giant Google kicked off its Pride Month observance this week, honoring a trailblazing activist, and then put its money where its corporate mouth is. The June 2nd Google Doodle celebrated Frank Kameny, who received his doctorate in astronomy from Harvard after returning from military service during World War II. He then got a job with the U.S. government but was fired for being gay. Kameny unsuccessfully sued in 1961. The Kameny Google Doodle features a drawing of him wearing a lei among flowering trees, based on an image of him at a Pride celebration in 2010. The company's charitable Google.org arm also announced that it's providing several $1 million to queer communities around the world. The donation includes $2 million to Outright Action International's COVID-19 Global LGBTIQ Emergency Fund. That is on top of Google.org's previous $1 million gift to the World Queer Advocacy Organization for the funding of more than 120 groups in more than 60 countries. The Transgender Law Center and the Transgender Legal Defense and Education Fund are also each getting $1 million. Juan Hualin is the treasurer and global executive sponsor of Pride at Google. He noted in a statement that there is still a lot of work to do, especially as we continue to fight for the rights of our trans community. But I remain optimistic about our community's future, given how far we've come.
That's NewsWrap, global queer news with attitude, for the week ending June 4th, 2021. Follow the news in your area and around the world. An informed community is a strong community.
NewsWrap is written by Greg Gordon, edited by Lucia Chappelle, produced by Brian DeShazer, and brought to you by you.
Help keep us in ears around the world at thiswayout.org, where you can also read the text of this newscast and much more.
And you can read the transcript and listen to NewsWrap each week by subscribing to our This Way Out radio channel on YouTube. For This Way Out, I'm Marcos Nájera. Stay healthy.
And I'm Tanya Kane Perry. Stay safe.
This Way Out delivers LGBTQ news and culture to more than 150 local communities on radio stations around the world, and we are also a free online news service. You can choose your favorite way to listen, online or on the air, at thiswayout.org. Please sign up for our free e-newsletter, Inside This Way Out. We will respect your trust in us and make sure your personal information is never shared with others. Just send us an email at info@thiswayout.org to receive the informative and unique addition to the show. You'll be invited to join us for a more in-depth look into our stories and be encouraged to learn more about This Way Out's 3 decades of broadcast activism.
Join us Friday, June 25th for This Way Out's free virtual Pride event, James Baldwin, A Teachin', live streaming on Instagram and YouTube, featuring an interview with President of the Human Rights Campaign, Alfonso David.
I did not hear his voice until much later in life. His words are powerful on the page, but when you add his voice to those words, they go into another sphere.
I want to make it absolutely clear that I am talking to you as Jimmy Baldwin, who was born in Harlem 39 years ago, not as an organizer, and not as a Negro leader, and not as a public figure, not as any of those things, but as one of the poets that you produced.
We hope you choose to join us in celebration of LGBTQ history and culture. Email us at info@thiswayout.org to join the movement.
We'll make sure you always know what's going on inside This Way Out. Thank you.